Hello, boys and girls. Mr. Berge here, back with our last poetry lesson for the week. This one is on free verse poetry. It is really the simplest type of poetry to write because there are not any rules, but it's kind of the hardest to master because there's a lot of them out there. All right, so what is free verse poetry? It is, like I said, free of all rules. No rhyming rules, no rules for the number of lines or number of stanzas or a number of syllables. You can really write however you like, whatever you want to write about. So like with all poetry, these poems need to have carefully selected words. So choosing your words wisely and choosing them sparingly really does make your writing more powerful. So we're going to talk about two different ideas in poetry, but also in other types of writing as well. Alliteration is where you take groups of words with the same starting letter or sound and use them throughout your poetry. And this is useful to give your writing some rhythm and some feeling to it. Personification is also an interesting technique where you can give human characteristics or character traits to non-human things, or sometimes animals. So you see this often in other types of writing like folk tales and other places, but in poetry especially because it really does help you kind of paint your best picture in your poem. All right, so using alliteration. These are two great examples, and you see in this first example, soap hope. I'm standing in the shower, and today I have to cope with a slimy slice of skinny, slippery, flimsy, dripping soap. So skinny, slippery, slimy slice, there's the alliteration. It gives the writing, the poem, a little bit more rhythm than if you were to choose different words for that poem. Next one is called A Bear in There. This is from Shel Silverstein, and he chooses to use alliteration with his rhyming, and he kind of alternates between the rhyming parts and the alliteration parts. So you'll see there's a bear in there. There's a polar bear in our Frigidaire. He likes it because it's cold in there, with his seat in the meat and his face in the fish and his big hairy paws in the buttery dish. He's nibbling the noodles, he's munching the rice, and he's slurping the soda. So there you see slurping the soda, nibbling the noodles, face in the fish. He uses two words with each other that have the same starting sound in order to give it a little bit of rhythm to it. So interesting way to do it, fun, silly way to do it. Next, we have personification. These are three pretty different poems about personification. Two are kind of silly. One is a little bit more serious. So for the first one, Ken Nesbitt, the poet here, pretended his pig, or he had a pig at home, and it was a person, and it was hogging the remote. So that's the idea he kind of gets to at the end here. He imagined that the pig is watching farming shows. So again, a very interesting way to think about something that we kind of think of all the time, pigs, and what would they do if they were watching TV. So you can picture where the author, the poet there, got his idea. His imagination ran wild with a pig watching TV. And then the second poem is Shel Silverstein's What If? And this is in this poem, he takes ideas that keep you up at night, things that don't let you sleep, things that you worry about. And he made them into what ifs. He made them into actual things. He made them into actual things that kind of stick with you and keep you from going to sleep. So that's a pretty interesting way to think about this, and a new way to think about worries. Make them into a thing. And then Dancing Pants, silly poem Shel Silverstein wrote just about what if your pants could actually dance on their own. So pretty cool. Two examples here of some other free verse examples. So take a look at those, and take a look at the other examples on the poem of the day and try out your own free verse. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.